Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Shift. If this is your first time joining us, you get a very special welcome. Welcome! You can scan this QR code, and if you fill out that Connect card, we'll send you some free Opus coffee. And make sure to check out that Coffee with Joe option so that you can either meet him in person or online and ask any and all questions that you want or need to know. Our big year-end give is still underway. Our goal is to raise $5,000 to end the year strong and to kick off 2025. Did you know, since 2016, over 20 million people have left the evangelical church? Some of them may never go back, and a lot of them are still looking for places to explore a healthier Christian spirituality, just like all of us. If you would like to help us reach or even exceed our goal, you can scan the QR code, scroll down and click the give link. You can sign up to give either one donation or a reoccurring donation. Every single one is received with gratitude and purpose. Don't forget that next week is going to be online only due to people traveling and stuff for the holidays, and the 29th is our annual day of rest, so there will be no service, online or in person. Now for week 3 of our series, Labor of Love.
Welcome to the last in-person gathering of 2024, and it has been a year. It's been something. It was a challenge from start to finish, having our space, starting the year by having our space taken away from us, then trying to figure out our new normal, not to mention everything that's going on out there. It was a year of growth and starts and fits. And for us as a faith community, we kicked off the year with the idea of reconnecting with our faith, reconnecting with God, reconnecting with our faith tradition. And we've explored different ways of going about that. And how we take it, basically the idea of how we take all of the things that we came from, right? All of the stuff from the places that we grew up in and worshiped in, reimagine those things, and then how to integrate those back into this ever unfolding understanding of God and divine love. It's been a year. We spent the whole year working, spent the whole year laboring as a community to be a part of this birthing of a healthier Christian spirituality, which is why I think it's so significant that we end our year talking about Mary. Mary is the unseen figure in these birth narratives, and yet it is she whose body protected the divine. She is the one that nurtured incarnation in her womb. And it was Mary who labored both in body and spirit to bring Christ into the world. Her story isn't just a moment in history. It is a living invitation. Mary's labor echoes throughout time, calling us to partner with God in birthing love into a world that desperately needs healing and renewal. Last week, if you were here or watched, Caitlin, she walked us through Mary's song, the Magnificat. Her song, Mary's song, is one of defiance. She expected her child to cast down the high and mighty and to lift up the lowly. Mary's song is one of resistance to the empire, and not just the empire of her day, but any empire that we come across day to day, including the one that we live in now, including our own empire where Jesus has been co-opted as a political mascot for ultra wealthy oligarchs and right-wing Christian nationalists. But it's through Mary that God entered creation, not by domination, but through incarnation, a baby born into blood and pain and uncertainty. And these images of song and birth aren't only a reminder of Christ's arrival 2,000 years ago. They're a pattern. They're a rhythm, inviting us into the labor of divine love again and again and again. But before we get to that, if you're comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes and take a few deep cleansing breaths. In through the nose and out through the mouth, filling those lungs from bottom to top. And as you do so, allow your body to relax, to let go of any anxiety you brought with you, and letting your mind go where it needs to. And let me encourage you to gently lay down whatever came before this and to keep whatever is coming next for later. What do you need from this gathering? What do you need from me? Set your intentions for today. And during this time together, take note of the things that stand out, that resonate with you. And when those things come to the surface, regardless of what they are, meet them with curiosity and love rather than judgment. Take a few more deeper cleansing breaths and begin to come back to the space. And when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes. As we saw last week with Caitlin, Luke's gospel gives us something called Mary's Magnificat. It's a song of radical reversal. And you can see that in Luke chapter 1, verse 52. It says, "He, being Jesus, has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly." So allow me to just remind you a little bit of what Caitlin told us last Sunday, that this is not a passive prayer. It's a manifesto. It's a manifesto of God's kingdom, a kingdom that begins in the hidden labor of one young woman. And Mary's labor teaches us that God invites human participation into this work of liberation. Dolores Williams, theologian, describes this partnership beautifully. She said that God works in partnership with the vulnerable to bring about redemption. And so Mary's role reminds us that God's love doesn't override us, it flows through us. And this is our story. This is the story of Shift. And it's not easy. It is a labor of love. To be part of birthing a new, old way of Christian spirituality means that we are actively choosing a path that is outside the majority church culture. And the temptation is to constantly be looking for a fight. If we are resisting, which is our theme for next year, if we are resisting, then by definition, there must be something that we're resisting against, something that we're pushing back on. But to labor is not to stay in labor. The labor is not the point. It's what comes next, the birthing. The point, that's the point that we're striving for, that we're working towards. To labor with God, as Mary did, is to allow ourselves to be co-creators of a new reality, a reality where love and healing and wholeness and justice and mercy reign. We must not stay in labor because labor is not the point. One of the coolest things that I get to do as part of this laboring that we're all a part of is our podcast that we have, Shift Happens. I get to meet so many amazing people. It's been the doorway for me to just meet some incredible and get to talk with and connect with amazing people that are doing these amazing things. And we've already recorded 11 interviews for this upcoming new season next year. And we're going to be talking about resistance. We're going to be talking about ways to resist Christian nationalism, ways to resist dehumanization, ways to resist the growing polarization in our country, resisting cruelty. And the topics, the people that I'm talking to are wide and various. Like I got to talk to David Hayward, the Naked Pastor, if you follow him on social media, about art as resistance. I talked to Amber Jones, who is a author and pastor about egalitarianism as resistance. I talked to Matthew Paul Turner. Some of you may know him as about storytelling as resistance. And it really is amazing to meet and talk with all of these people from all over the place doing all of these crazy, incredible things. And in all of those conversations and interviews, there's a common thread that kind of ties them all together: imagination. Every single person I talk to is reimagining old systems or imagining completely new ones. Everyone, be it through art, be it through music, and I am talking to Flaming Grants again, or writing or theology, all of them see our current season not just as it is, but as it could be, and maybe even as it should be. And it drives them to create, to birth something new, something new. Jesus, near the end of his ministry, said this in John chapter 16. I hear this. I still have many things to say to you, but you cannot hear them now. When the Spirit of truth comes, she will guide you into all truth. This promise points to a dynamic faith, not static, a faith that grows, that stretches, and births new understandings in every generation. So Mary's labor, her birthing of Christ, is echoed in our labor of birthing truth and love into our world. Cynthia Bourgeois, who is a theologian and author of several books, including the book The Meaning of Mary Magdalene, describes this ongoing work of waking up to the divine presence in all things. And she puts it like this: incarnation didn't stop with Jesus. It's the ongoing process by which we bring God into form. So our invitation then is to remain open to the Spirit's guidance, even and especially when it challenges our old paradigms. Jesus said this: new wine must be poured into new wineskins. So Mary's labor was a new wineskin, a bold, subversive vessel for God's love. And if this is so, if this is true, then it begs the question: are we willing to become new wineskins? Are we willing and ready to receive the Spirit's truth and bring new life into our world? And speaking of bringing new things into our world, I will never forget when Tori went into labor with our oldest. She, her water broke like the night before and then wasn't sure, so didn't say anything. And we got up the next morning and she was like, I think my water broke. And so that just kind of sent us into a panic because we didn't have anything ready. You know, they say you're supposed to have your go bag or whatever. We did not have the go bag. So we're like throwing everything in and we're like, I'm panicking. And I literally had no idea what to do. And we had actually started getting ready for work that next day. And like in the middle of like shaving or something, she's like, I think my water broke. You know, and just but so we get all our stuff together, we get in the car, we head to the hospital. And at the time where we lived, it was probably a 20-30 minute drive to the hospital. So we're calling parents and we're calling family, and we're letting everybody know that we're heading to the hospital. We think this is it. And we start getting close, and I'm literally on the verge of like panicking. Okay, I have no idea what to do, and I'm just like, breathe, babe, breathe. You know, like I don't know what to do. There's nothing to do. And she looks at me and she says, I'm hungry. We should stop and eat. And I was like, are you kidding? Are you serious? I'm not hungry. Are you hungry? How can you be hungry? But she was hungry. And she also knew that once we got there, they weren't going to let her eat. So we stopped. We didn't go through the drive-thru. She made me stop and get out of the car. And we stopped at Mr. Goodsense. I don't know if you remember Mr. Goodsense. I don't think it's in existence anymore. It was a sub shop and they had like the best bread. It was delicious. So we ordered and we sat there and ate. Rather, she sat there and ate while I paced back and forth like, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Let's go. Let's go. It's time to go, babe. Baby's coming. And she was just like, chill, I'm going to eat my food, right? And, she's sitting there enjoying the bread of Mr. Goodsense while I'm slowly dying inside, pacing back and forth. And of course, she was right. She was right, because after we ate and we got to the hospital, it would be another 16 hours of labor before Jenna made her appearance via emergency C-section due to being breech. And Tori did so amazing. Watching her as her body groaned to bring this tiny human to life, it was no less than watching an actual miracle happen in front of my eyes. And then there was this little tiny cry. And I saw the most beautiful, ugliest, tiny human I've ever seen. And by the way, all newborns are ugly. Okay. It just is. Yes, we love them and we think ours is the cutest, but still, they're little ugly aliens. Okay. The early church leader, Paul, in his letter to the Romans, writes this: we know that the whole creation has been groaning in labor pains until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves who have the first fruits of the Spirit groan inwardly while we wait for redemption. And this imagery reminds us that Mary's labor wasn't just about Jesus's birth. It points us to the larger labor of love required to heal the world. God's kingdom does not arrive fully formed. It is birthed through us in every act of love and kindness. John Philip Newell, one of my favorite authors and Celtic theologian, says this: the deepest work of the Spirit is to draw us into the labor of love that pulses at the heart of creation. Creation itself is groaning, not in despair, but in the labor pains of something new. Each act of love, no matter how big or how small, is part of this birthing. And what if that's what we're experiencing right now? We've read it before in this room. Seek author and activist and poet Valerie Carr's prayer about this not being the darkness of the womb, but the darkness, or not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb. And being called by the midwife to breathe and then push. What if right now, in this season of Advent, is the invitation to not despair, but to hope? Because we know that we are in the midst of birthing something far greater than any man-made system, birthing something far more beautiful than any idol created, and birthing something far more powerful than any weapon formed. Mary's story invites us to see ourselves not as only as those who labor, but also as midwives of God's love. The Celtic tradition, the Christian Celtic tradition, often uses the metaphor of birthing to describe our spiritual work. In the words of David Adam, we are here to be bearers of the divine, carriers of God's hope into the world. And how do we become midwives of love in a world that feels more divided than ever? By leaning into the Spirit's guidance and embodying the subversive love of Mary's song. By feeding the hungry, by lifting the lowly, by refusing to bow and preemptively bow to systems of oppression. We do so by making room in our hearts for the Christ child to be born again and again and again. Mary's labor was full of tears and sweat and blood, and it was hard, and it changed the world. Our labor too will be difficult, will be hard, will be full of tears and sweat and blood, and it too will change the world. But no matter how hard our labor becomes, the same God who was with her is with us. And God's promises are sure. God is with us in the groaning. God is guiding us into all truth. And God is making all things new. If you're new, we end each gathering with a time of observation and reflection. And we do that to allow you time to listen to your body and to listen to spirit. And so the band will come back up and play so it's not an awkward silence, and lights will be turned down to help create some intimacy. And I will ask a few questions to guide that process. And then I will pray, and we will have a time for any that are wanting to and willing to take communion, which are the small cups in your seats. Each week, we allow this symbolic meal to remind us of something of Christ. Today, let it remind us of his birth, of Mary's labor, and our invitation to be part of that holy groaning. So just like we began our gathering, I invite you to close your eyes and to take a few deep breaths, allowing yourself to feel what you need to feel. My first question for you today is this: what was your intention for this gathering? And what did you need from me? Did those things come to you? And if so, what are they saying? If not, why not? And what's that saying? Where in your life are you experiencing these holy groanings, these labor pains? And why? If our world is in one long labor, continually birthing love, what does that mean right now for you and for us? And my final question for you today is this: as we come into a new year, how can we, as a faith community, be part of birthing this divine love? Let's pray. Divine midwife, we stand in awe of the labor of Mary, her courage to say yes, her strength to bear the impossible, her willingness to partner with you in bringing love into the world. We remember that this labor did not end in Bethlehem, but continues in each of us. An unending invitation to birth hope and to midwife healing in a broken world. Give us hearts as open as Mary's, hands ready to work for peace, and spirits willing to endure the pain of transformation. May we labor with you, God, to deliver love into every corner of creation. And when the labor feels too heavy, remind us that we do not labor alone, that you are the breath that sustains us, the strength that steadies us, and the joy that greets us in the light of new beginnings. Forgive us for things done and for things left undone. Give us eyes to see and ears to hear. Bring comfort to the afflicted, healing to the broken, and freedom to the chained. In the name of the one who shows us the way. Amen. Just a couple of quick reminders. If you want to, we've got that little thing out there. You can get your pictures taken in your regular clothes if you want to, but also you'll look great. So this is a whole mood. Yes. And don't forget, next week will be online only. Don't miss it. Our good friend Hannah Bain, that used to be part of Shift, and they're up in like Virginia now. She's going to be wrapping up this for us, and she's going to be talking about the actual birth of Christ in only the way that Hannah can. So I'm super excited about that. And then the following week, we will have no service as our day of rest. And so our encouragement for you on that final Sunday of the year is to actually Sabbath. It's to spend a moment reflecting back on the year that we had and thinking about setting intentions for the year to come. It's going to be a year. All right. So we're in Advent. We're in that season of preparation. So prepare how you need to prepare. All right. And we'll do that together when we get back together in the new year. Now, let me read this benediction and we'll get out of here. May the God who labors with love in every generation go before you like the morning light, surround you like the arms of a caregiver, and dwell within you as the spark of creation. May your hands bring forth compassion, your heart swaddle hope, and your life birth the divine into the world. In the name of love, who is in the name of love, who is creator, midwife, and child, go in peace. Amen. Get out of here. Go love on some people.